Welcome back to Goodwood again for the third instalment of this Festival of Speed series that I'm running on Assetto Corsa. This week I'm taking up 10 of the most legendary cars to race in the 24 hours up the Goodwood Hillclimb. Alright, we're going to start off with the Bugatti Type 57G. This car was the winner of the 1937 Le Mans 24 hours, and it also won the 1936 French Grand Prix. So quite an interesting car in that it raced in Grand Prix racing and endurance racing and was successful in both. You get quite sideways coming to turn one. This car is being driven hard. It's one of the things I love about the real Goodwood Festival of Speed is seeing these classic cars getting pushed. So much like that Type 32 that we saw in the previous video, this car was also nicknamed the Tank due to its streamlined appearance. This car also set a 24-hour average speed record in that era at the Montfleury Autodrome, setting an average speed of 200 km an hour, which is absolutely nothing to be sneezed at in 1937. It's a pretty incredible feat. Another Type 57 Tank won Le Mans in 1939 as well. That was based on a Type 57C, well, this is the 57G that we're seeing today. And that records a time of 1 minute 10.4. Right, next up is the icon of the 1950s, the Jaguar D-Type Longnose. D-Types won Le Mans 3 years in a row in the 1950s, from 1955 to 1957. This particular example was the 1957 winner, that was run by the Scottish Ecuria Cost team. Jaguar claimed that up to 75 D-Types were produced. Other sources have claimed that only 71 were built. And Jaguar have recently completed a set of continuation cars, so they built an extra 25 to get this off to an even 100. 8 of the original D-Types were these long-nosed variants. They were successful in one. You get some very sideways action through the hay in the corner there. Oh, and the last corner it's sideways as well. Here we go. It's going to set a 57.754. 774, I should say. And next up on the line we have the Ferrari 330 P4. This was Ferrari's Le Mans contender in the now infamous era of sports car racing that featured the fierce rivalry between Ford and Ferrari, which of course was documented in the film of the same name, rather recently, Ford versus Ferrari. Whilst Ferrari did not defeat Ford at Le Mans in this car, the 330 P4 did take a 1-2-3 finish in the 1967 Daytona 24-hour race, where they beat Ford on their home territory. Now, Ferrari ended up boycotting sports car racing after the 1967 season, after the Group 6 regulations had changed to permit a maximum of 3 litre engine capacity. Let's see what time the 330 P4 does. Crosses the line with a 51.04. Right, next up on the line is Ferrari's rival, Ford GT40. This is Mark 1 variant, which returned to racing at Le Mans in 1968 due to the change in regulations. This car ran under the Group 4 regulations, which meant that it could still run original engine capacity. This particular GT40 is chassis P1075, which was one of the very few cars that's been able to win Le Mans multiple times. 2 victories in a row in 1968 and 1969. This car was converted back from its 1967 spec, which was the Mirage M1, which was John Wyer's team's modified version of a Super GT40. Right, let's see if it can beat the Ferrari again here. Not quite. Crosses the line with a 51.9. Right, move on to another icon of sports car racing from that era. It's the Porsche 917K. This was the Le Mans winner in 1970, run by the Porsche Salzburg team. This is the short tail variant of the 917. K standing for Kurzheck, which is German for short tail. You can see that upswept tail with a bit of a gurney flap on the back there. Provided some much needed downforce to this car. When it was originally introduced, the 917 was quite a tail happy beast. That extra downforce kept the car a bit more planted. Let's see how it goes here. Crosses the line with a 48.397, so a significant improvement for a car that's only a few years older than the other two that just ran. Right, next up, we move on to the Group C era of sports car racing. Porsche 962C Longtail. Now Porsche were very much the dominant force in Group C racing throughout the 80s. First with the 956, and then they moved on to this, the 962. 962 was an evolution of the 956, which was adapted to run in IMSA competition. IMSA had a few regulations that the 956 did not meet, so they had to extend the wheelbase of this car so they could move the pedal box back behind the front wheels. And they also had to run a single turbo on the flat 6 as opposed to the twin turbo setup of the 956. Let's see how well the Porsche 962 does here. Crosses the line of a 43.718. Right, next up, McLaren F1 GTR. One of the absolute icons of the 90s here. McLaren had never intended to take the F1 racing. However, customer demand in the fledgling BPR GT series at the time had pushed them into building the F1 GTR to GT1 regulations. 1995, the 124 hours is very wet. Well, the wettest on record, which meant the GT1 cars were extremely competitive against the World Sports Car Championship prototypes at the time. Now this race-winning car from 95 was actually the prototype of the McLaren F1 GTR. It was on loan from McLaren to Lansante Motorsport for the race. It's going to be a bit slower than the Group C car, but crosses the line with a 45.78. And now we're moving on to another dominant car at Le Mans. This is the Audi R8, which of course was very successful in the early 2000s and the early LMP1 era of the race. A particular example was the 2001 winner. The R8 won 5 out of 6 in a row from 2000 to 2005. The only race it didn't win in that era was the 2003 race, which was won by the Bentley Speed 8, which itself was based on the closed cockpit Audi R8C. Now this R8 was developed in conjunction with Dallara and Yost Racing. Let's see how it goes. It crosses the line with a 41.3. Now we're moving on to the later LMP1 car. This is the Porsche 919 Hybrid, and this was the car that really ended Audi's dominance at Le Mans. Porsche made their return to top-level sports car racing in 2014, 16 years after their previous Le Mans victory in 1998. It only took 2 seasons for them to finally break that Audi dominance, Porsche taking a 1-2 finish of this car in 2015. They then went on to win 3 in a row with the 919, before pulling out once again from top-level sports car racing to focus on their factory involvement in Formula E. Of course, they're back again now with the 963 Hybrid. We go across the line, rapid time there, 38.7. Right, and finally, we're moving on to the last car of the batch. This is the most recent Le Mans winner. It's the Ferrari 499P hypercar, which just won Le Mans last week. Second race win in a row with 499P at Le Mans. And as you can see, it's still covered in the dirt and grime of the victory last week. The team took a very nail-biting victory over Toyota, with a lot of fuel saving in the final stint from Nicholas Nelson. This is Ferrari's first factory-backed entry in the top level of Le Mans since 1973, so 50 years away from the sport, and they came back to take the victory. There we go, 38.951, so not quite as fast as the LMP1 919 that just ran up. Right, with that final run completed, here's the standings. So it's the Porsche 919 taking it over the Ferrari 499P hypercar, the Audi R8, then the 962 Longtail, the F1 GTR 917K, then the Ford versus Ferrari battle ended up in favour of Ferrari this time with the 330 P4 taking it over the GT40. The D-Type long nose and the Bugatti Type 57G round out the 10 for this batch. Right, thanks for watching everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that one. And we'll see you again next time where we have another endurance racing special coming up very soon.